Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for my client Lewis's vlog, and we started the week off for his max effort upper with a long pause bench. He got 85 kilograms, which tied his last regular bench, so we'll take that as a good PR on the pause bench. All right, afterwards we do flat benching, all right, trying to get the reps paused, so it's controlling it, trying to stay tight and then pausing on each rep. And it doesn't need to be a long pause. I just want to see some pause. Then for back work, we do chin-ups. We do barbell rows, which again means you start on the floor. It's not a bent over row. Barbell row is often called a pendlay row, which we do up next. And yes, I'm aware some people have asked, why can't he do mini chin-ups? I'm like, well, because he's not strong enough. Right? You've got to look at his height, body weight, overall strength level. He will get stronger at chin-ups, but that's okay. I'm having him do what he can for now, but we're getting our real volume afterwards on these rows because we do sets of 10 on these. So we end up getting our workload here, even though because he's not getting that much on the chins. But, I tell people, even if you can only do 3 or 4 chin-ups in a set, there's still a training response to that, right? It's very heavy. All right, we do JM presses and then lateral raises also on his max effort upper day. So it's very straightforward. So what do? We do go to a training max. We do pause benching, right? Which I would just call bench press, really. Touch and go is a separate type of bench, right? It's not the same thing. We do chin-ups, rows, JM presses, lateral raises, right? And this is actually what I consider to be a pretty large amount of volume, probably a large amount of volume. And the only reason I throw the lateral raises in is because he says he really cares about his delts. So it's like, okay, well, we can do some laterals. That's fine, and I'm okay with that. And that's really common with a lot of my lifters. Rather than the guys who come in to me and say, hey, I want to get a certain look, I want to look like I lift, I don't worry usually about their biceps as much, unless we need to, in which case for some of my lifters, I just let them throw free time in. I've had a few who I do that with. And in his case, though, we let him do some laterals because the delts will do a lot more than your biceps, because people forget a lot of your arm size actually comes from triceps. Far more of it does than from biceps. But he's doing chin-ups already, so not overly worried. All right, and I forget how much he got on his max effort lower day. That was a pause squat. I think it was either 120 or 130 kilograms. I'm not sure which. Afterwards, we do good mornings. We do dumbbell split squats, and then hanging leg raises and then glute bridges. All right, the glute bridges, I told him on these, I want to get these a little more range of motion. I'd like to see more out of these. Ideally, right, that's what I'd like to see. Here's our split squats, and then we do hanging leg raises. So we end up doing about 4 different exercises. So we're doing 5 to 6 on upper days for supplemental work, and we do around 4 on the lower body. And the only reason for that is that even though there's far more muscle mass in the lower body, it's a little less complicated. There aren't as many muscles. Okay? We don't need to worry about stuff like delts. But if we were to look normally at our pushing and pulling, that's going to be relatively similar volumes for what we see for the lower body, right? Because we have squatting type movements and then hip hinge and hamstring type movements. It's going to end up being fairly similar once we start taking things like any delt workout. And then, of course, I like hanging leg raises. I like these a lot for my lifters. All right, dynamic effort upper day. We do speed bench. I'm having him learn to pause on his speed bench. Some of my people do it touch and go, some do pausing. Depends on kind of what I see as the needs for that lifter. And we rotate grips. We do 3 sets wide, 3 sets medium, 3 sets close. All right, afterwards on this day, instead of doing a normal benching, because we've already done that with the speed bench, we do incline bench. Same thing. Notice I want to see it controlled. I like to see a pause. I don't like these done touch and go because it kind of defeats a lot of the benefits of doing an incline. All right. And it's that ability to get that stretch out of the bottom, that deeper range of motion, and we want to capitalize on that. We want to keep the bar down in that position longer, force the pecs and front delts to drive it off. because really the incline, obviously visually we know what it does. It builds delts and it builds upper chest, but it builds lower chest too. Just a slight bias there. But what it also does for our benching is it gets us faster off the chest, and that's kind of a big deal. And then we do our other normal work that we would expect based upon the max effort day. We do JM presses, we do some chins, some rows, lateral raises. And since we're quite a few weeks into this vlog series, hopefully I don't need to retell Lewis's story. I've retold it in so many of the vlogs. You guys can watch anyone in this series. There's a 50-50 chance you'll hear his backstory in it. Or you could watch the original one so that you kind of know where he's at. Because some of these lifters have backstories. I used to have to tell the ones with Robbie's vlogs. And then people also always ask, where did this lifter go or that lifter go? Well, some of my lifters don't want to vlog all the time, right? Some of the former vloggers are still on. I'll give you perfect examples would be people like Mike, he's still on. Saif is still on. Nick is still on. These are all people who were vlogging. They're still here. They just don't want to vlog right now. Okay. And that's okay. Vlogging is voluntary. That comes up too. People are like, oh, do you give them discounts for vlogging? No, I do not. And I want to be clear on that because I've had that rumor out there and then people apply and say, hey, if I only pay you X amount of money, but you can use my vlogs, can I get a massive discount? It's like, no, I'm sorry, guys. The vlogging is purely voluntary. I may work out arrangements eventually. I'm looking at a changing of business model for competitive powerlifters with a minimum total to where I might work those things out. But those people are going to have to be on the platform every year. They're going to have to give me vlogging stuff. They're going to have to publicly admit that I'm their coach. Okay. That's worth something for negotiation. But if you're just a regular person, or you deadlift 400 pounds, it's just not gonna happen. Again, but that's a separate topic. But unless you see these people out in public saying I'm their coach and on the powerlifting platform, odds are that they're not getting any special deal. Period. And that's just the way that it is. So what do we have on his dynamic effort lower day? We've got speed boxes. We have speed sumo pulls, good mornings, split squats. And then, of course, we finish up with our glute bridges and hanging leg raises. And I think on this second one, I got a little more range of motion out of him. I basically told him, look, take a few kilos off. Try to focus on getting that longer range of motion on these, right? Because we do need that as much as possible. And again, that can be a little bit difficult to obtain. A lot of my lifters struggle with these on the glute bridges, and I get it, because it's an exercise where you can load a lot of weight up. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.